Hello everyone, greetings to you all. It is indeed a very special privilege to be able to share with you on our theme today of the inner side of service. In our sharing today, we're going to start by looking at the letter T. And no, this is not an episode of Sesame Street. We will also explore some ideas on the nature of service and its place in our lives. We will then look at love and how it's connected to service. And finally, we will revisit the letter T and explore its connection to our lives. Just a little background about me. I'm not a great academic. When I read information, I tend not to intellectualise or theorise about it very much. I tend more to focus on how it applies to life, whether it be to life in general or more specifically to my life. And of course, this is especially the case if it has some immediate relevance in my life. While researching for this presentation, a few ideas came to my mind. The concepts contained in these ideas have become an ongoing source of inspiration to me. They have helped me and stuck with me through my years as a student of life. These moments of inspiration have been very useful to me, and so I am very happy to have this opportunity of sharing them with you, as they may also be of some use to you. The first of these moments came in my engineering student days, when one of my lecturers suggested that we as young developing engineers should work to become T-shaped engineers. You're probably wondering, as we all wondered back then, what the heck is a T-shaped engineer? The lecturer did take time to explain himself. Consider the shape of the capital letter T. It consists of one horizontal and one vertical line. Each line has length and breadth. Our lecturer shared that from an engineering perspective, we can consider the top line, or the horizontal direction, to represent the full spectrum of all engineering disciplines. The vertical direction can then be considered to represent the depth or level of detail of understanding in any particular field. The central area of this horizontal top line would then represent our own particular field of interest or work. In this analogy, the vertical line of the T then represents the depth or level of understanding attained or attainable in our chosen field of work. The lecturer suggested that to become well-rounded engineers, we needed to have two qualities. First, a broad, basic, but not necessarily very deep, understanding of all the various engineering disciplines. And that secondly, this should be combined with a deeper understanding or more detailed knowledge of our own particular field of work. In summary, to be a well-balanced engineer, we required both a general breadth of understanding over all the fields of engineering, as well as a detailed and deep understanding in our specific engineering field. Hence, the T-shaped engineer. I suspect that this analogy would apply equally well to many other professions. So much for our first inspiration. The second moment of inspiration occurred several years later. It was while discussing various theosophical concepts with friends. It was observed in the group that the word theosophist started and ended with the letter T. It was also noticed that for most of our study sessions in Australia, and possibly in other countries also, tended to start and end with a cup of tea. It was joked about that becoming a theosophist might include or be connected to the habit of starting and ending with this cup of tea, or with tea. There was another suggestion that these may just be teosophists rather than theosophists. although humorous in its context, I have found that the symbol of the letter T has occurred many times in the exploration of the inner life. We see it in the Ankh, where the T represents materialism, which is surmounted by the spiritual nature represented by a circle. The Christian cross is also basically a small t, with the horizontal member representing the dividing line between spirit and matter, and the vertical line representing the perpetual link or interaction between spirit and matter. This inspiration came again while studying some of Annie Besant's writings. She once shared that there are 3 pillars for the theosophic life, namely study, meditation and service. I like to call them the SMS of theosophy. This symbolically connected in my mind again with the capital letter T. How, you might ask? Let me share. In this analogy, study and meditation represent the top 2 arms, both left and right, of the letter T, and together form the breadth of the T, with each reaching out from the centre. This in turn has always suggested to me 2 things. Firstly, that both study and meditation are required to expand the breadth of our understanding of the spiritual nature on this, our plane of awareness. And secondly, that there always needs to be a degree of balance between study and meditation in our lives. It can also be considered that this horizontal line consisting of study and meditation represents our current plane of experience and understanding. In this analogy, the center column, or the vertical leg of the T, represents service. The center column onto which study and meditation are both connected and supported. Service initially grows down from our level of existence and awareness, the crossbar of study and meditation, into the various material planes of existence, and develops our recognition of the oneness or unity of humanity. The greater the development of the nature or the amount of service, the deeper will extend our understanding of the life experience. This downward growth eventually finds bedrock, or the firm foundation of our true spiritual nature in its current human manifestation. It is then, as our expression of service continues to grow, evolve and mature, that it both supports and starts to elevate the nature or quality of our study and meditation. The deeper and firmer the foundation, the broader the possible support to all of humanity at the surface of life. I have found that this analogy aligns really quite well with many of the ancient or perennial teachings. There are many references about service. Some in today's world address the more exoteric or physical aspects of service. Others, while still having an exoteric message, have a depth that may be unfathomable. They have many deeper layers of understanding and meaning. Let us look at a few of these references and see what they have to say about service. Many of these are obtainable from the internet. Just Google quotes on service. The first, the highest of distinctions is service to others. King George VI. Next, the end of all knowledge should be service to others. This is Cesar Chavez, an American civil rights advocate. And then we get, there is no higher religion than human service. And that was from Woodrow T. Wilson, a US president. Here's an interesting one. Service to others is the rent you pay for your room here on earth. And that was from Muhammad Ali, a boxer. A very intriguing notion. We then get, the purpose of life is not to be happy. It is to be useful and to be honourable and to be compassionate. To have it make some difference that you have lived and lived well. And that was from Ralph Waldo Emerson, an American essayist, philosopher and poet. The purpose of human life is to serve and to show compassion and the will to help others. That was from Albert Schweitzer, a theologian, philosopher, physician. Here's another one. The best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others. That was Mahatma Gandhi. Lawyer and political ethicist. Through love, serve one another. That's from the Bible, Galatians chapter 5, verse 13. It's here we start to see a connection, or the connection that exists between love and service. The next reference comes from a little book by N. Sri Ram called Thoughts for Aspirants, the second series. It reads, "When I cease to seek anything for myself, the only motive that remains is love or service." In this quote, we can find two conditions or qualities that are implicitly connected with true love. Firstly, we see that self has to be removed to the extent that only love remains. Secondly, we also get to see that love, in its ultimate expression, is interchangeable with service. That love and service can be considered synonyms. And that selfless service is an expression or manifestation of true love. True love or service requires the removal of the self with a small s, the self with a small s, sometimes called the personality. A similar idea can be found in a quote or aphorism attributed to the Buddha. A man once said to Buddha, "I want happiness or love." The Buddha replied, this is ego, remove it. Want, this is desire, release it. What remains is happiness or love. Here I have, of course, equated happiness with love, which I believe in this context is valid. We can again see that all vestiges of small s self need to be eliminated for true happiness or love or service to manifest. We often recognise that this may be a difficult thing to achieve, but it is suggested that we still practice love and service, and that we use our self-awareness to gradually weed out all elements of the little self or ego and of want or desire, so as to work towards the perfection of our love and service. In the theosophical view, or space, as many now seem to wish to describe it, the practice of service or love is fundamental for spiritual development. It is considered to be primary. We only need to look at Alkyone's or Krishnamurti's first offering in his little book titled At the Feet of the Master, In the section on love, we can read the following. Of all the qualifications, love is the most important. For if it is strong enough in a man, it forces him to acquire all the rest. And all the rest, without it, would never be sufficient. I find this to be very inspiring, that love is enough, and yet sobering. Everything else is nothing without love. This is where we find that the words can start to penetrate to a greater depth in one's nature, and that the implications and meaning become more profound. I recently also came across a lovely quote by Rumi that also shares this importance of love. Without love, all worship is burden, all dancing is chore, all music is mere noise. I personally find that I really relate to this quote because it simultaneously addresses the three fields in which I work as a volunteer: worship, dance and music. Returning to other quotes and discussion on love in At the Feet of the Master, we will also find the following quote, which is explaining the quality of desire being spoken of in the statement that equates love to a desire for liberation. It is not so much desire as will, resolve, determinations. To produce its result, this resolve must fill your whole nature, so as to leave no room for any other feeling. The key element here is that this resolve must fill our whole nature, leaving no room for any other feeling. We again are impressed by the point that love or service must be the focus. It must fill our whole being. Why, you might ask? This is answered in the description of the nature of our master or teacher or higher self, the ideal put before us as our ultimate goal in life. It reads as follows: because he is love, you, if you would become one with him, must be filled with perfect unselfishness and love also. I've little else to say about these quotes, other than that every time I read, study or review them, I am filled with a deep reverence for the ideals being shared and the beauty, inspiration and uplift that they give. Some inner part of me responds to the information. There is a deeper response that inspires. It is in the expression or practice of love that we will find its connection to service. So how do we practice, manifest or express love? Let me again quote from At the Feet of the Master. In daily life, this means two things. First, that you shall be careful to do no hurt to any living thing. Second, that you shall always be watching for an opportunity to help. Here we can see that the expression of love in our daily lives is twofold in nature. First, to do no hurt to any living thing. That is, no hurt in thought, word or deed. To practice the Buddhist teaching of ahimsa. Secondly, to be always watching for an opportunity to help. Helping requires discrimination and a delicate balance. We can help, but we should not impose. Many become self-righteous and endeavour to impose their own perception of the truth. All beings still possess the right of free will, so our help should not be an undesired imposition onto someone else's free will. So we look for an opportunity to help. This is service. And it is from this notion of service that the motto of the Theosophical Order of Service manifested. The TOS motto, a union of those who love in the service of all that suffer. It is a recognition of the nature of unity, the oneness of all being, that manifests as a result of pure love and the service to those who, as yet, do not know the full, deeper nature of true love, and therefore still tend to suffer. You may now see that the TOS motto also points to a deeper spiritual significance, as well as to its exoteric meaning. It's an opportunity to recognise that there is an inner side even to our motto. In this brief session, we have looked at various writings on aspects of service. For some, these are only external qualities, and work on them only from a purely exoteric perspective. Let us now look at how some inner qualities are cultivated through service in the external world. For this, I would like to go back to the word theosophist that we talked about earlier in this session. We started looking at the letter T as a capital. Now we need to consider that if we are removing our personality from our expression of spirituality, then service will become the major expression of our life, and that this would now be better symbolised as a small letter T. Why do I say this? We have discussed before that the vertical leg of service first supports and, after attaining bedrock, a firm foundation, then starts to elevate the plane of understanding that the study and meditation aspects of our being works with. So when service has become dominant in our nature, the vertical leg of the T is more prominent and has a firm foundation or anchor. Study and meditation are still required and occur, but are less pronounced when compared to service. The vertical leg, with the support of study and meditation, now extends above the crossbar of study and meditation. This can be considered as symbolic of developing a path of connection with inspiration or guidance from above. It is the awakening of the link to the intuitional spiritual nature, the seat of divine wisdom. Symbolically, we could say that the journey of the Theosophist starts with developing the symbol of the capital T, which then subtly evolves or transforms to become a small t. This is the inner side of service. It provides for us a firm foundation for the understanding of our spiritual selves. It allows us to both elevate and broaden our spiritual existence. Service also allows us to organically reach into or pierce the intuitional realm and allow the inspiration of the Spirit to fill our being. A closing thought from my wall calendar. Whatever you decide to do, make sure it makes you happy. Warmest blessings to you all, and thank you for the opportunity of sharing. Namaste.